Welcome to Feminist Question Time, which is brought to you by Women's Declaration International, the leading global organization defending women's sex-based rights against the threats posed by gender identity ideology. Many of us have been active feminists since the 70s or even the 60s, and we were not surprised when this attack from gender identity ideology came along. Many of us read, we didn't write, read Janice Raymond's Transsexual Empire, which was written in 1979, and also Mary Daly's analysis in the very early 80s of the threats posed by the idea that a man can become a woman and have, be a woman. Um, in 2018, we wrote a declaration on women's sex-based rights, which lays out our position, and it's been signed by 39,741 people from 160 countries and by 547 organizations. So if you haven't looked at the declaration, do. It is a really fantastic document, and it's very, very useful. One, outlining the threats posed by gender identity ideology, but also it's very useful for using in lobbying governments, organizations, local governments, explaining why we should keep the definition of woman as sex-based. Um, WDI, Women's Declaration International, is an organization to promote the declaration and also, in general, sex-based rights for women. We have volunteer activists and country contacts in many countries and on every continent. So do join us. Um, you can become a member, volunteer, or donate, and I'll put some links in the chat later on. So this Zoom today is a women-only webinar, and I'm just going to now add on the so you can see a couple of the speakers. So it's if you are a man, please could you leave the webinar now because we are a women only webinar. Um, our program today is we're going to hear from Yal Bano and Afghan women. And Yal has collected voices from inside Afghanistan who are going to share about their situation under the control of the Taliban. Yal has spoken to us and is the WDI representative for Afghanistan. She's spoken many times with us, and many of us know her. But as always, she's not going to show her face for security reasons. So she's here with us, and we'll talk to Yal in a second or two. Then we're going to, after we've heard from Yal and seen the videos, we're going to hear from Lierre, Keith, and Joni, who you can see on screen now, and Joni Zander. They're both from Wolf, Women's Liberation Front. They're going to talk about the Wolf Lawfare, so laws that they're challenging or trying to develop in the United States, and perhaps about the Radfem summer camp, which they organise, and it's been a massive success, and to talk about how you might be able to participate in that. And then we're going to hear from Kate Ramsden. So, hello, Kate. And Kate's from Scotland. She is going to talk about why she signed the Declaration on Women's Sex-Based Rights, and also she's involved in the trade unions and writes for the Morning Star, which is a left-wing magazine or newspaper in the States. If we have time, we'll watch the video of news from USA, but I'm not sure if we will have time. I will, we've actually uploaded that onto our YouTube channel, so if we don't have time for Kerry Bruce's news about the USA, you can go on to online to watch about that. Okay, so our first speaker is, I'm just going to remove the spotlights from our other speakers, and we don't have Bernadette today, so we'll all have to, it's not going to be as brilliant as when Bernadette's here, but it will still be absolutely fine. So, first of all, we're going to talk to, or Yal's going to tell us, although not showing her face, tell us about the voices of women from within Afghanistan, and then we'll play the video. So, hello, Yal. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Hello, I am doing fine. Thank you for this opportunity to share Afghan woman voice.
That's brilliant. And when were these voices collected, and how were you involved in that?
Thank you so much. With women, we are in contact in Afghanistan. We had a program like a voice of hope to share their voice. We had that 2 time, 3 time with Google Meet. Then the woman, Afghan woman, they live inside Afghanistan. They just wanted to share their voice in WDI live webinar to share to hear more women, more people their voice. Today you all will hear Afghan woman voice from Afghanistan who live inside Afghanistan under the Taliban control. Despite women live with no right and no hope, still they are protesting and sharing their voice just for hope, for justice and freedom. Thank you so much for your solidarity. Please now listen to Afghan woman
So,
voice.
first of all, we're going to talk to, or Yao's going to tell us, although not showing her face, tell us about the voices of women from within Afghanistan, and then we'll play the video. So, hello, Yal. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Hello, I am doing fine. Thank you for this opportunity to share Afghan woman voice.
That's brilliant. And when were these voices collected, and how were you involved in that?
Thank you so much. With women, we are in contact in Afghanistan. We had a program like a voice of hope to share their voice. We had that 2 time, 3 time with Google Meet. Then the woman, Afghan woman, they live inside Afghanistan. They just wanted to share their voice in WDI live webinar to share to hear more women, more people their voice. Today you all will hear Afghan woman voice from Afghanistan who live inside Afghanistan under the Taliban control. Despite women live with no right and no hope, still they are protesting and sharing their voice just for hope, for justice and freedom. Thank you so much for your solidarity. Please now listen to
Hello, dear Joe, and hello, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk today. I am an Afghan mother. I am speaking today as one of many Afghan women for different parts of Afghanistan. Today, we raise our voice so that world can hear us. Afghan women are not silent. I used to study medicine at university and dreamed of become a doctor. But when the Taliban came, all my dreams were destroyed. University closed, school, and my future was taken away. Now, even thought I want to study online class, it is very difficult. Online classes are not like regular school or university. They are not free. It is not easy to register in a university or program. There are also language problem, and because I stay at home, we cannot pay all the expenses. Every day I see my daughter and feels the sadness in their eyes. My daughter asks me, Mother, why do not you go to university? Why didn't you become a doctor? Will I also stay at home like you? My hair breaks. I cannot answer her. I cannot study. I cannot build my future, and I worry but about her future too. I know a young girl who could not continue school after grade 6. She had diabetes, and the sadness and stress from not going to school made her very sick. Suddenly, she passed away. It is the future from some girls. Some face depression or even suicide. Some get sick from stress and hopelessness. Sometimes at night, even I'm alone, I cry quickly. I cry because I cannot protect my daughter's dreams. I cry because their hope blocked, and I cry because the weight of this sadness is heavy every day. But even with all this pain, I still have hope. I hope that one day my daughter will continue what I could not. I hope they will learn, grow, and follow their dreams. This is not only my story. This is the story of thousands Afghan women and girls. Our hearts still beat. Our hopes are still alive, and one day our dreams will shine again. I would also like to say a special thank you for dear Yal for contacting Afghan women with women around the world for helping our voices be heard. Please hear our voice, share our stories, stand with us, and thank you for being here to listen.
Today I want to share my own story. When I first started school, I had dreams and goals for my future. Every day I studied with dedication, hoping to turn those dreams into reality. I was in 12th grade when the political situation in Afghanistan changed and my dark time of life started. And it's been 4 years since those dreams were put on hold, and they are still just dreams. During these years, I tried to keep learning, but by attending online classes and studying English. But online classes alone are not enough to reach my goals. We are not only deprived of education, but we are also burdened with heavy psychological and economic pressures. Our families struggle to meet even the most basic needs of life, and we are in no position to help or build a future of our own. Sometimes the weight of these pressures feels like it's pulling me away from who I really am. We now live in conditions where even stepping outside our homes is difficult, and we are constantly afraid of what might happen just because we dare to leave the house. I am afraid that all my hard work will be wasted, that the nights I spend studying will mean nothing. When I think about how girls in the rest of the world the right to education has, well, in the geography, I don't know, it makes me feel forgetting, left behind, and visible. My future is still unknown. I don't know if I will ever return to school. I am a young lady, 20 years old, very talented, but I am not safe. I am hid from Taliban as to not face with worse marriage with Taliban members. Please help me in one of the safe countries outside Afghanistan, because I don't see hope here for me and young women like me. I don't know if the girls who come after me will look to the future. But I hope may our voices, the voices of thousands of silent but living girls, become a force for change.
Hello, Miss Yell, Miss Jo, and everyone. Women in Afghanistan today live in a land that no longer has a place for them. A country where, instead of freedom, they are trapped every day by superstition and oppressive laws. Young girls who once eagerly sought education, a bright future, now find themselves locked away in dark, silent homes. A future that once had the promise of light is now lost in the darkness of uncertainty and despair. This country no longer has a place for women. A land that, instead of nurturing their talents and dreams, has only handed them pain and oppression. In the streets, in their homes, in their hearts, Afghan women and girls are left waiting for a new world, a world free from the watchful eyes of the Taliban and the endless restriction placed upon them. a place where they are no longer expected to hide behind closed doors, a place where they can live as free human beings. Is there a place for them in this country? Perhaps not. Perhaps their only hope of survival lies in leaving for somewhere else, somewhere far from this dark land where their basic rights, education, freedom, and choice are still secret. A place where they no longer have to live under fear and silence, where they are treated as equals to men, where their voices are heard, and where hope can once again blossom in their hearts. Today, Afghan women are more aware than ever that their lives are in their own hands. Yet, as long as the walls of fear and oppression stand before them, there's nothing left but to wish and dream for a better tomorrow in the darkness of endless days. They continue searching for a glimmer of light, hoping it will someday find them. Life in Afghanistan no longer holds meaning for women. Living here has become a suffocating existence in a world with no escape. This land offers them no opportunity to grow or to breathe freely. Afghan women have reached a point where they can no longer live in this country. Leaving this land with all the pain and separation it brings may be the only option left. It may be the only chance for their survival and for a new life in a place where they are no longer bound by tyranny. If Afghan women can one day escape this land and reach a place where they are free from oppression and fear, they might once again live a life where their freedom, human rights, and dignity are more important than anything else. These days are no longer theirs to claim, and all they hold on to now is the hope for liberation. Liberation from this country, liberation from fear, and liberation from a world of darkness that offers them nothing but pain and silence. And finally, special thanks to dear Lierre for connecting the women of Afghanistan with women around the world. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.
Is there anyone who can hear me? I am an Afghan girl, hear my voice. Many people say love hurts, but I say loneliness hurts, rejection hurts, being lost hurts, losing everything hurts. As an Afghan girl, I have lost everything. I have been lost, rejected, in the middle of deep inequality. To you, people of the world, who live in developed countries full of progress and comfort, far from the pain I am living with, have you ever thought that somewhere on this earth, in a country called Afghanistan, women just like you are suffering from deep emotional and psychological crises? Under the rule of the extremist Taliban group, Afghan women are living in bitter and tragic conditions. Life has become a nightmare for them. Schools, once full of hope and excitement, are now places where extremist religious beliefs are forced upon girls instead of knowledge and freedom. High unemployment, economic hardship, illegal migration, running away from home, rising family violence, and forced or early marriages, all are the result of the terrible condition of women in Afghanistan under Taliban rule. Afghans women need you to become their voice buried in tears, sorrow, and silent pain. Do not forget us. Your continued civil protests for the freedom of women trapped under the oppression of the extremist Taliban are pressure on your governments. I believe if you, even for 2 days, live the life of an Afghan woman, you would feel her deep sorrow in your bones and your blood. Have you forgotten what this same group did to your people on September 11? If you remember, then rise, protest, shout, be the voice of Afghan women trapped in chains. And I, a tired and broken girl with deep sadness, reach out to you, people of the world. Please don't destroy my only hope. I am truly hopeless. Thank you for your active attention to my heartache with love and respect.
Hello, Joe and Yael and everyone. We are Afghan women from Herat, Kabul, Kandahar, Badakhshan, Mazar, Daikundi, Khost, and every corner of our beloved homeland. We are the daughters of a land wounded by war but rich in strength and courage. We are the women and girls who were told to stay silent, but we choose to speak. We are the women who were told to speak, to stay home, but we choose to rise. We carry the pain of generations, but also the hope of the future. Today our voices rise together, voices for justice, for freedom, for education, for peace. We are here to tell the world, the voice of the Afghan woman will never be silent, not by fear, not by violence, not by oppression. We are alive, we are strong, we are unbreakable, and we are not alone. With deep gratitude, we thank Miss Yael, a woman who has become a bridge between Afghan women and the world, a voice that amplifies ours, a hand that lifts as warm as when the world turns away. Together we will continue, together we will hurt. Women rights in Afghanistan are not respected. Respected freedom of movement, respective dress codes, no protection from violence, forced marriage. The situation of women in Afghanistan, especially in recent years, has difficult and concerning. Below is a summary of the most important challenges that Afghan women are facing. For women and girls, the situation is particularly dramatic. It took only a few months for the Islamists to act with incomparable severity towards women and girls as they took away their right to self-determination and wiped out 20 years of progress for the rights of women and girls in the country. In many areas, girls are only allowed to attend schools up to grade 6. Education in high school and universities bans from them. Many girls' schools are closed. Women are not allowed to travel without a male mahram. They are also banned from going to park, gyms, and many recreational places. In many areas, even entering restaurants is restricted from them. Women are forced to observe strict hijab rules, and if they disobey, they many face threats or punishment. Due to the lack of a fair and transparent legal system, women have no legal protection against domestic violence, forced marriage, or other injustices. The mental and emotional condition of women has led to an increase in depression, anxiety, and a sense of hopelessness among Afghan women and girls. Many of them feel their voices are unheard and they see no future ahead. Despite all these challenges, Afghan women continue to rise. They raise their voice and bold hope for the future. For many women, the internet is their only connection to the outside world. When the internet is cut off, it causes a deep sense of isolation, voicelessness, and hopelessness. Internet shutdowns in Afghanistan, especially after recent earthquakes, have had a devastating impact on the lives of women and girls, bringing great despair into their daily lives. I am an Afghan woman and I am worried about the future. I am a young woman with 2 daughters and my family. I have not been able to be a good role model for my daughters, and that hurt me deeply. Everyone is worried about the education, and so may I. Why should our daughters be deprived of the right to education? Why can't they become doctors or teachers in the future, just like other education girls? The situation has caused deep despair for us women. We do have the right to education, growth, and a meaningful. And I love my country. Situation right now is not good. I am very sad of the education system right now. Girls can't go to school, and I am a mother of 2 girls. I'm worried about their future, and I'm worried about their education. The education system, economic system is very bad too. It's hard for me and my family to live here, but the future of my children are more important to me. The Taliban portray women's rights as if a woman should only stay at home, take care of her children, and that her only duty is housework. They do not believe that women should study at home, take care of her children, and that her only duty is housework. They do not believe that women should study, get an education, become doctors or professionals, and take part in different careers like men. This wrong mindset prevents the progress of women and society. A few days ago, women and girls we are taken from near our house. We wear full hijab. Women's rights are being completely violated. We have lost hope in life. The voices of Afghan women must be heard. There is deep sadness and hopelessness in our hearts. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hello everyone, I wanted to talk about a very important topic, the life and struggles of Afghan women after 2021. Since the Taliban returned to power, life for women and girls in Afghanistan has changed dramatically. One of the basic problems is the loss of education. Girls are not allowed to attend secondary school or university anymore. Education is a basic human right, and without it, many girls have lost their dreams before they wanted to become doctors, teachers, engineers, and strong leaders. Now they are forced to stay at home and their future feel uncertain. Along with losing their right to education, women have also lost their jobs. In the past, many Afghan women worked in offices, schools, hospitals, and NGOs. Their work was not only a way to earn money but also a source of pride and independence. Now most of them cannot work. Because of this, many families have become even poorer. When women cannot work, families often do not have enough money for food, clothes, or even rent. This situation has also affected the mental health of Afghan women. Recent studies show that more than 80% of women are suffering from depression and anxiety. Many feel sad, hopeless, and afraid. Some say they feel like prisoners in their own homes. They are not allowed to move freely, visit parks, or even travel alone without a male relative. This lack of freedom makes them feel invisible and forgotten. However, in this dark time, Afghan women continues to show incredible strength and courage. Some girls try to study at home using online class. Some braver women teach older girls secretly in a small group, risking their safety every day. These actions show us their strong strength and their deep love for education. Most Afghan women and girls have one simple dream: to study, to work, and to live freely. They want to contribute to society, help their families, and build a better future for their country. When we look at their situation today, we must also see their hope. Despite all the restriction and pain, Afghan women continues in inspire us with their bravery and determination. In the end, their message to the world is clear. They want freedom, respect, and the chance to live with dignity. It's our duty to listen to their voice and support them however we can. Thank you so much for listening.
I am a 7-year-old Afghan girl. Girls in Afghanistan can go to school only until age 20, but I hear bad news. Maybe school will close again, or only girls until age 8 can go. This makes me sad and scared. I want to be a doctor one day, but maybe I cannot study. I do not want to grow up because if grow up, they must stay at home. Sometimes I tell my mother, I wish I was a boy because girls in Afghanistan do not have freedom. School and freedom are the right of every girl. Please help Afghan woman and girl. Thank you.
Hello, Miss Jo and Miss Yell, and hello to everyone. I am an Afghan girl, a girl born in a country where being a girl is not easy. In my country, girls have lost many rights. We cannot study or travel or even smile freely in public. In many places, girls can only go to school until grade 6. After that, school is not allowed for us. Afghan girls cannot go to parks, games, or restaurants. We are not allowed to go to outside without a male family member. We must wear a strict hijab, and if you do not, we may be punished or threatened. The real pain of Afghan girl is that her future is taken away while she is still alive, and no one hears her voice. There are girls whose smile library is only one old book, but they hide it like real life so no one takes it away. There are cold nights when an Afghan girl sleeps with an empty stomach, but before sleep she asks God in her heart just one day of freedom. There are girls who hide their dreams, another their pillow because even dreaming feels like a crime for them. An Afghan girl sometimes cries in her heart because she does not know if tomorrow will bring learning or just another day in a cage. Her times are when a 12-year-old girl has a simple wish to hold a pen again, just that. There are girls who shake in a silence, not from the cold but from fear that one day even the word girl may be forbidden for them. The hardest moment is when a mother tells her daughter, my girl, studying is not worrying, it is just forbidden for us. It is painful that the world laughs, but an Afghan girl must hide thousand fears just to smile once. A person's heart hurts when they learn that some girls have only one crime, being a girl.
Well, that's the end of the videos. It's absolutely heartbreaking and infuriating. I'm just feeling so sad and angry that this is going on and powerless that we can't do very much. Like in WDI, we're doing what we can, trying to share these voices and get people to act against it. But yeah. Anyway, there's lots of very good comments in the chat, and thank you so much, Yao, for organising this. We will spread these voices as widely as we can, and if Yao, would you be able to put a way of contacting you for women in the chat, and we'll put it on the YouTube link as well when we share this publicly. And yeah, just I suppose well done everybody, all the brilliant women here in the webinar as well, because I think we're all quite aware of how horrific things are, and we're just being here and being together in these webinars and listening to this and witnessing and doing what we can it's quite hard because it's so distressing hearing about it. And anyway, well done, all of us. Thank you so much to all the women who spoke from Afghanistan and everybody who's here listening. And let's just keep going on. Well, that's the end of the videos. It's absolutely heartbreaking and infuriating. I'm just feeling so sad and angry that this is going on, and powerless that we can't do very much. Like in WDI, we're doing what we can, trying to share these voices and get people to act against it. But yeah. Anyway, there's lots of very good comments in the chat, and thank you so much, Yao, for organising this. We will spread these voices as widely as we can, and if Yao, would you be able to put a way of contacting you for women in the chat, and we'll put it on the YouTube link as well when we share this publicly. And yeah, just I suppose well done everybody, all the brilliant women here in the webinar as well, because I think we're all quite aware of how horrific things are, and we're just being here and being together in these webinars and listening to this and witnessing and doing what we can it's quite hard because it's so distressing hearing about it. And anyway, well done, all of us. Thank you so much to all the women who spoke from Afghanistan and everybody who's here listening. And let's just keep going on. I'm really pleased now to hand over to Lierre, Keith, and Joni Zander. So I'm going to add for Lierre, and Joni is getting her video on. Now you're going to talk about Wolf, which is Women's Liberation Front, and I just want to introduce the from the you can go on the website for Women's Liberation Front yourself, but something, I mean, much of it is very, very good, but something they're saying about us, what is Women's Liberation Front, and they have some statements, and they say that female humans, the class of people called women, are oppressed by men under a system called patriarchy. They also believe that patriarchy is organized around the extraction of resources from female bodies and minds in the service of men, including reproductive, sexual, emotional, and labor resources. Wolf also says that gender is a hierarchical caste system that organizes male supremacy. Gender cannot be reformed, it must be abolished. The website is fantastic, and the women of Wolf also are fantastic. So I'm really pleased to hand over to you to tell us about what you've been up to and the future, some other things. So welcome, and over to you two.
Well, thank you. I'm going to show a brief video first that is about what we did this last year and what we're hoping to do next year. It is very hard to follow, of course, the sort of devastating voices that we've just heard. But if you hang on a few minutes, at the end of my presentation, we actually do have an action you can take that is pretty directly related to what you've just heard. So there are things we can do from our relative freedom and safety here in the West. But in the meantime, I'm going to launch my little video. This is my maiden voyage. I've never made a video before. This is the first one I ever made. So I'm very proud of my little effort here. So this is Wolf right now, and this is what we've been up to. So let me do the screen share thing. I'm trying to enter the 21st century here. I'm much more of a 20th century person, but here we go. All right, share. Hit the volume. Okay.
I'm Lierre, Keith. Women are at some rough crossroads right now, and all of those roads lead to patriarchy. Even where I live in the bluest of blue, California, a woman nearly died at the local hospital. She was having a miscarriage, and the hospital refused, quote, to abort the baby. So she nearly hemorrhaged to death. And that's why Wolf will always be for women's absolute reproductive sovereignty. Meanwhile, our uber-liberal governor who would be king, Gavin Newsom, is doubling down on gender ideology, stating that he wants to see more trans kids. That's a direct quote. So more kids who hate their bodies, more kids offered chemical and surgical mutilation, and more men in women's prisons. All roads, patriarchy. Feminism is the only road out. At Wolf, we're building that road. Here's some highlights of what we've done this year. We submitted 7 briefs to courts across the country. And I want to read you 2 quotes because we are making radical feminist arguments to the courts, including the Supreme Court. So the Scrimeti case was decided by the Supreme Court on June 18th. And this was where Tennessee wanted to ban medical interventions that destroy children's bodies, aka gender-affirming care. So Wolf wrote, and this is a quote, "No child is born in the wrong body." I am amazed someone had to say that. I'm horrified someone had to say it, but we said it because it had to be said. And then we submitted it to the highest court in the land. And all of you helped us do that. Another case was Paxton. So Texas had passed an age verification law. In order to access online pornography, viewers have to prove that they are over 18. And the way they do that is by submitting their information to the Department of Motor Vehicles. And then traffic to porn sites crashes. Pornhub, you know, the site that has hosted child rape videos, removes itself from the internet in those states. So is this a perfect feminist solution? No. Is it having a dramatic impact on men's ability to access rape as fun material? Oh yes. Yes, it is. Texas argued that the state has a compelling interest in protecting children from pornography. So this is a quote from our brief. In expose, a Pornhub found it infested with rape videos, it monetizes child rapes, revenge pornography, spy cam videos of women showering, racist and misogynist content, and footage of women being asphyxiated in plastic bags. It's really hard to lay out in words just how horrifying pornography is. The real women and girls who are really being hurt. But we tried. We spelled out what's in the porn and how much harm is involved, and the Supreme Court agreed. So, we won. I really encourage you to read all our legal briefs. They're on our website. If you're a donor, you helped pay for them. But more than that, these are radical feminist arguments trying to win some justice for women. They are incredible documents. Wolf also went to Washington. We took our radical feminism to both Republicans and Democrats. We told them what transgender means, how children and girls and women and lesbians are being hurt. A number of them said they'd never heard any of it before. Look, if we don't talk to them, who will? And if they don't listen, the Democrats are going to keep losing. In June, we had RadFem Summer Camp, so women made a magical village in the woods for a week of history, theory, and activism. We also had swimming and brownies and bears. Tickets are already on sale for next year. We also launched WARN, which is a great acronym. It stands for Wolf Attorney Resource Network. So it's a group of attorneys who are standing firm to defend women. There is some real power here. What we're hoping to accomplish in 2026. Women in prison. This never goes away and is never far from my mind. The fact that women are locked in cages with rapists. The Chandler case is ongoing, and we hope there will be some progress. We want to hold the Trump administration accountable for executing and defending the executive orders on gender ideology. Right now, most of them are stalled. We want to protect women in the Constitution. We'd love to see a Women's Bill of Rights federally and a radical feminist version of the ERA. We want to expand WARN and get some more warrior lawyers into battle. At the very least, we need to get them some t-shirts. We're at the darkest point of the year. I know how that feels, but we can win. I know that because Wolf is tiny, but look how much we've done. We just need more of you. Please give what you can. If you can donate, we need it. If you can volunteer, we'd love it. If you can dream of a world made by women, we can make it happen. womensliberationfront.org. See you at the front.
Okay. So now I have a brief PowerPoint, and I'm going to tell you two more things that we're doing that I think you'll enjoy hearing about. So let me get to this slideshow version. Come on. There we go. Okay. So this is coming up and it's huge. It's January 13th, so it's in a few days. It's next Tuesday. This may be the big one. I know in the UK you had the big case in Scotland where they finally said what a woman was. They haven't done that here yet. The Supreme Court has been kicking this thing down the road for a good 5-6 years. And now they're finally going to hear the cases that we think will decide this one way or the other. So these are both sport cases. They've combined them into one. One of them is a young boy who's had his puberty wrecked, who wants to play on the girls' team, and the other is a grown young man who wants to play on the women's team in college. And so it's happening. They're going to hear the case. The Supreme Court, when you argue, it's short. You only get about 15 minutes, so the thing is over really fast. They don't play around. But we're going to be there. So if you want to go to Washington, D.C., just go to the Supreme Court stairs. You'll see us all there. If you can't go in person, like I'm in California, there's no way I can do it, but we're going to have a watch party online, and you can join us. And it's really fun because our lawyers come, and we have a retired judge, Elspeth, who we call her Justice Turf. And they come on and they explain what's happening. So for civilians, it's really fun. I've learned an awful lot just listening to them. It's really fun, just kind of the blow by blow, like, oh, look what they just did. And oh, this means that. And oh, they're trying this argument. And then we have like an hour afterwards where we just kind of decompress and they explain more. So it's really, really helpful. If you want in on the watch party, just drop me a note and I will get you in. So that's the 13th. And then on February 1st, we've got another big action coming up. So No Hijab Day. We have joined forces with this amazing woman, Yasmin Mohammed. If you don't know her, you should learn about her and her life and her work. We are, in fact, doing a talk about her book tomorrow on WDI. So this is just perfect timing. Her book is called Unveiled. This is her website. Her podcast is amazing. Her mother was Egyptian. Her father is from Gaza. She mostly grew up in the United States and Canada. And even though she had achieved what you would think would be a better state, for women in the West, she had every form of what she calls Islamic abuse heaped on her as a child and a young adult. She was, in fact, married off to an Al-Qaeda terrorist when she was 19. One of the guys responsible for 9/11, who's now doing life sentence. Completely horrendous what's happened to her. And she is one of the strongest people I have ever met. So we're doing her book tomorrow on radical feminist perspectives. Please come to that if you can. But more than that, Wolf is backing her up on this event that she has every year. That's her book. So she started this thing in, I think, 2018, because somebody wanted to have World Hijab Day where we celebrate hijab, and all the women around the world are supposed to put on their scarves in somehow support of patriarchal oppression. And she said, absolutely not. Having endured this for many years herself, she's like, we're not having it. So she started this other thing on the same day, which I love that somebody did this, just saying no. So February 1st is also No Hijab Day. So we in the background here, we're trying to boost this, to help her boost this. So we have this great website, nohijabday.com. And these are ways you can join. For the first bunch of years that she did this, it was only online. And that's because most of the women who participated lived in places where it is extremely unsafe to remove your hijab or your burqa or whatever they're making you wear. You can be killed. So even just to appear online without your veil, women were in fact arrested, detained, tortured for doing this. So we're not asking anybody to risk their life if they're not ready for what the consequences may be. If you feel safe enough to do it, continue to do it online. Send in the videos, the photographs of yourself doing it. We have a lot of them on the website. It's incredibly powerful to watch the women do this and what they have to say about it. But if you live in the West and you want to show some solidarity to what women are going through, we want to take it live. So we're asking everybody, February 1st, take a banner, take some friends, and take a bridge. So go to the bridge in your city, in your town. That's the iconic bridge. Bring your banners. We have banners for sale on the website. You can certainly make your own. And we have this freedom because people fought for it and died for it. Like, never forget how many generations it took for me to have the freedoms that I have now. But there's women still living in conditions that are almost unthinkable to us in the West. And I'm very humble, having met some of these women, to realize just my level of ignorance about this. But we need to be the bridge. Think about what's happening in Iran right now. They've had 14 days now of this uprising, and they may be viciously crushed once again. They need to know that we are here, that we see them, that we are standing with them. So this is a great opportunity to do that. So I'm going to be in San Francisco on the Golden Gate Bridge, February 1st, 9 a.m. If you live in the Pacific Northwest, come and join me. We've got women who are going to be in London on the Tower Bridge. We've got women in Washington, D.C. who are going to be at the embassy. There's not an Iranian embassy. They've got a little hole in the Pakistan embassy, so they're going to be standing outside there. But wherever it is that you are, join us. Pick the bridge, get one of the banners, get your friends together, reach out to other women, and make yourself seen so that the women who are still fighting, they know that we are with them. And this is one of our memes for this. So that's Mina from Afghanistan. She went outside and removed her burqa, and it's an amazing little video to watch because these birds out of nowhere just came and circled her. And it's just this beautiful image. Watch the whole video there on our website. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. That's what Wolf is up to. So yay. So that's what we got coming. And then I'm going to turn over to Joni for a minute, and she's going to talk about Wolf Camp. And I think I'm supposed to show the video, right? Okay, let me get that up, and then it might take me a second to get it. Yes, we have Wolf Camp again. We had a great one last year. Okay, here we go. Come on. I'm hitting play. Go.
You need to share the video.
Ah, it's not showing?
No.
Okay, let me see what I'm doing wrong. I'm telling you that I am a 20. Here we go. There's the share button. Okay. Hey, why isn't it here? Ah, I've managed to make a mess here. Let's see.
Do you want
Hang
me
on, let me
to
try it.
share?
I think maybe I can get it from I don't know why it's not showing. I'm so sorry. Do you have it, Joni? Can you do it?
Yeah, let
I'm
me
wasting
try.
everybody's time. You go ahead. I'll give up. I'll go back to the 20th century.
You're good. You were doing a lot.
I almost got it.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, I'm Lierre. I'm one of your camp counselors for Wolf's RadFem Summer Camp.
RadFem Summer Camp is a week of radical feminist history, theory, and activism.
All in a magical village deep in the woods.
With the river for swimming, with mountains for hiking, and the ocean for long walks.
It's like a personal ad, only political.
Well, the personal is political.
And sisterhood is powerful, so bring your voice and your love for women.
We'll have an open mic and arts and crafts.
And lots of workshops.
Probably too many workshops.
We'll have a dance party, a song circle, and ghost stories.
Oh, did you hear the one about the TERFs that went on the camping trip? Only the dog got loose in the night, and they had to follow her through the woods, and they saw her silver tail disappear into the abandoned house. That one.
If you don't like camping, there are Airbnbs and a hotel close by.
Or you can bring your RV for dry camping.
And dogs are welcome too. Well, as long as they stay on leash. I don't think there's an abandoned house or Anything?
As always, we'll have plenty of food.
Oh my God, those brownies.
Tickets are sold on a sliding scale. You can get yours now at womensliberationfront.org.
See you in June.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything.
Oh my God.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed that little video. We really enjoyed making it from all over the country. Um, so just real quick, the Rad Fem Summer Camp, we have a lot. It's a really great way to connect with women in person, touch grass, as they say, and get offline for a little while. Some of the topics that we're going to be discussing are how to lobby elected officials, Wolf's stance on the ERA, speaking clearly to normies about the threats to women, the Nordic model, nonviolent direct action theory and practice, strategies for increasing social media reach, a Q&A with radical feminist lawyers, breakout sessions for in-depth connection, and more. Of course, we're going to have hikes and swimming and hopefully go meet some bears and campfire activities and music and games. So it starts Ju June 24th is through the 29th. If you want to come early to help us set up, you can come a day early. And the pricing starts at $220. It's for 6 days of radical feminist theory, practice, getting together, great conversations, and we feed you the whole time. We have a great cook. Um, you can either camp in your own tent, your RV, you can grab a hotel or an Airbnb nearby. So we'd love to have you join us.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Joni and Lierre. I quite often think I'm about to get the sack from my job, and whenever any of the bosses calls me in, I think, all right, this is it, this is the day. But this will be first on my list. If I get the sack, I'll go, yes, I'm buying a ticket. So, so that's what I
Great.
recommend. It sounds, well, it's the sort of thing I think sounds good, so I recommend everybody goes, but I haven't been, so I don't know. But it
Oh,
sounds fantastic.
and one thing I wanted to mention, last year we had women from New Zealand, from Scotland, Canada. So, wherever you are in the world, come play with us.
Yeah, and I'd also like to say one thing is we were talking before about sometimes I've certainly been to women only camps, and there's been a lot of angst and people being nasty to each other and blaming each other and saying they're not good enough feminists, etc. But this doesn't happen at the Wolf Summer Camp. Liere's saying that they don't put up with it, and it's really quite calm and nice, and so you're not going to, don't worry, you're not going to be attacked like sometimes huge arguments happen. Doesn't sound like it's going to happen, so that's really nice.
Well, we do our best to set a very different tone. Because everyone is so prone to that now, that just kind of that purity spiral stuff where it's just constant horizontal hostility. Like, what is the point? So, I don't know, if you come at it with a different attitude of like, we're just not putting up with this, they tend to just back away. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if it's because of radical feminism or having been feminist for a very long time and having thought it through and decided we do need to organize things in a way that these sort of big fights don't happen. But I really appreciate hearing that that's happening at this summer camp, because a lot of women have gone to things and then found it uncomfortable and been really nervous about going. But this it, I think it's going to be great. So even though I'm not going, I endorse it. And I think you're going to have a great time. I totally trust you. It's going to be, you're going to run it really well. And you've done it before, haven't you? Is it a couple of
Yeah, we
times you've
have.
done it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and other things in the past. Anyway, we better move on because of time. So we're going to now hear from Kate, who is Kate Ramsden. And let me remove the spotlights from Joni and Lierre, and then we're going to bring on Kate. So, Kate, welcome to Feminist Question Time. Kate, this is Kate Ramsden. She's from Scotland. She's a retired social worker of over 40 years, during which time Kate was also an active trade unionist. She's still involved in initiatives to support ethical social work practices. And Kate is Joint Secretary of Aberdeen Trades Union Council and a delegate to the STUC, so the Scottish Trades Union Council Women's Committee, and is involved in a number of left initiatives, including writing for the Morning Star. So really interesting bio. And you very kindly came on. I suppose we should start with saying, why did you sign the Declaration on Women's Sex-Based Rights? And then we can maybe chat a bit about some of the other interesting stuff.
Yeah, well, I think compared with somebody like yourself, Joe, I'm pretty late to this party. It's a few years ago that I started to realise the real threat around to women's sex-based rights from the whole kind of trans ideology movement. And I became really, really concerned about it because I can see the absolute importance for women of being able to come together just as women, just as biological women. And I naively thought that any man wanting to identify as a woman would also understand that and would recognise that we are not the same, that we have quite significant differences in terms of our experiences growing up, etc., and would understand why, for women, it is so important to have those single-sex spaces and services, etc. And so a few years ago, I put a motion forward to the SGC Women's Conference about sex-based rights, women's sex-based rights, calling for them to be supported. And oh my God, it was hideous, frankly hideous. And not just from people who were trans, but from like a whole heap of the left movement, and not just men, women as well. I mean, I didn't mention trans rights in the motion, but I was accused of being transphobic, of being a TERF, etc.
So, out of interest, so was this from your trade union branch?
It was through the Trade Union Council, my Aberdeen Trade Union Council.
And you got it through there, and they were okay with it.
Well,
And
no, they weren't
it was
okay with
hard.
it. It was
Yeah.
very, very difficult. And that's when I started to realise that what I had thought was a very straightforward motion was anything but. And when I took it to the conference, I actually ended up having to remit it on behalf of the Trade Union Council because it was clearly not going to get through because of the position trade unions have gotten themselves into in relation to
And
them.
can you tell us what the words were of it, or summarise the words of the motion?
It started off with kind of recognising the Sex Discrimination Act was 50 years old. So it wasn't this past year, but the year before. And then it just went on to talk about how the Equality Act, which absorbed the Sex Discrimination Act, supported women's sex-based rights in particular circumstances. And it called for a recognition of that and for the trade union movement to have a role in making sure that employers recognised women's rights under that. That's what it said, basically. I can't remember the actual wording of it. So I
So
thought...
really simple, like things we thought they should agree with.
And very carefully written and worded, because I recognise that, that trans people may be sensitive about it. I just didn't expect the backlash that came about. And I suppose I'd been thinking that this was an issue, but that really brought it home to me. So when I saw your declaration, I just thought, yeah, I really want to sign this because this just gets to the nub, not just around the kind of trans issue, the much wider issues for women's rights, because I recognise how much women's rights have been rolled back. I mean, it's horrific what we've just heard about Afghanistan, but actually in the UK, women's rights are being rolled back dramatically as well. And the whole culture and how women are being seen has shifted to being quite misogynistic, quite exploitative of women. So yeah, that's really what prompted me to sign the
Yeah.
declaration. And
So there was so you're sort of like within your trade union group or council in your is this in Aberdeen? When when you started to propose this motion, you were still reasonably positive and thinking they were going to be supportive. And then so how does it play out? And what were your thoughts about the opposition coming from people? Where did that opposition come from?
it actually came from across delegates, mainly men, from different unions that are affiliated with the Aberdeen Trade Union Council. I mean, finally, the way I got it through was to take it went to a Trade Union Council meeting, and there was a debate and a vote, and we won, I think, by one vote. One vote got it through. So I was on a bit of a shiggly peg anyway. But the reason that it had to, I mean, I think I'm quite well known in the trade union movement. So I think people have a bit of respect for kind of where I'm coming from and know my heart's in the right place. But so when it got to the SGC Women's Conference, people weren't horrible about it, but basically they were saying this isn't going to get through because of the position that trade unions in our country have got themselves into in terms of women's rights versus the whole kind of trans ideology. And I actually got to speak to it at the conference before I remitted it, and I was making the point that this is not in any way transphobic or anti-trans. This is about women's rights. And why have we lost a focus on women and what women need to feel safe psychologically, physically, but also our right to assembly? We know the power that comes from the collective. I mean, that's the whole basis of the trade union movement. So how have we got to the point where it's just being viewed as transphobic? And I've had to remit a motion that I thought was really quite straightforward. And a lot of women spoke to me after and said, you know, I would have wanted to support it, but I wouldn't been able to because of my trade union's position on, because obviously they were there as delegates from their trade union. So it's fascinating, but it's the sort of situation that I think is replicated across Scotland and the UK and obviously much, much wider than that
Yeah.
as well in relation to this particular issue.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it's not getting much better, or maybe it's getting worse in many places. But one really area of hope within Britain and within our political setup is the Communist Party of Great Britain, which I understand is the organisation that runs the Morning Star.
Doesn't run the Morning Star.
Oh, well, will you
But
explain that to us? So explain us, because you said that there's what this one bit of the one communist group is actually has a good position on
the
women's
Morning,
sex-based rights.
yeah, the Morning Star, great publication. Recommend it to everybody. It's the only English speaking daily newspaper of the left. And it's very, very good on trade union rights, etc., etc. But it's as I understand it, its editorial policy is governed by the policy of the Communist Party. That's how the link would be. I mean, obviously, people write for it from all sorts of different positions on the left, from Labour Party, through, you know, a number of other left organisations. But the editorial policy is kind of governed by, as I understand it, by the Communist Party policy. And also, you know, they have annual meetings every year that if you're a shareholder which I would also encourage you to consider, you get a say in the kind of editorial policy that, and it's clearly in line with the Communist Party statement, which is very, very good, very balanced on women's rights to single-sex spaces. So,
And is it true that, I mean, I heard that this Communist Party was, they had a position that they took last December or something, where they're going to actually campaign actively within the trade union movement for women's sex-based rights. So they would be on, they would be voting and saying, talking, campaigning to amongst trade unionists to say, let's support women's sex-based rights.
The Communist Party.
Mm.
I don't really know, actually. I mean, I'm not a Communist Party member myself. I'm a fellow traveller rather than that. So
Yeah.
I'm not absolutely sure, but that wouldn't surprise me because it would be completely consistent with their policy on this. And I have friends within the Communist Party who have been really, really active in promoting the importance of women's sex-based rights within the trade union movement, as well as the left, because, the Labour Party wasn't great on it. I mean, I think what's been really helpful, and I mean, I know there's been a lot of doubling down as a result of it, but the For Women Scotland judgment has been very, very helpful, I think. And I see, even though it's been two steps forward, one back, I see a bit of a change, a bit of a sea change in how this is being viewed. I mean, trade unions are still having to be dragged kicking and screaming to look at, many of them, to look at their own policies in light of that ruling. And some of them seem to be taking a position that they're just not going to accept it at all. But it has shifted thinking a little bit, and I think the reality is that most of our members, most women members, and my union, which I'm not going to say what it is, just in case, because obviously I hold a different perspective from union policy, but they are primarily women members, and I'm sure most women members are not aware of our policies. And to be fair, my union has started to look at where it all sits in relation to that ruling.
Yeah, and it seems a bit easier for women and men to speak out now because of the Supreme Court ruling and the For Women Scotland. So that's a sort of reasonably encouraging, isn't it? That people they won't feel so scared, and there'll be more people like you and more being able to maybe support if there's a motion at a union congress. I mean, I think it's quite important that I know the Communist Party is a very small group, and people might not like the ideas of communism, but it's very it's very embedded in the student body. All these hard left groups, the Trotskyists and the communists and the Leninists and Marxist Leninists. There's loads of little groups working quite actively in student unions and in student bodies, articulating positions. So if there's one group, the Communist Party of Great Britain, taking a sex-based rights position, at least that's good for young people. That there's some organised group with a reasonable position, rather than, I think most of the left is just captured, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's been a real worry, and it's quite difficult to make the arguments without well, I don't know why it is so difficult to make the arguments for women's sex-based rights. I really, really don't, because it just seems to me, that it's the most, sensible way forward if you're going to respect that, women are an oppressed group within a patriarchal society, that obviously it's absolutely essential that women can have the right of assembly, etc., with other biological women, and that trans people whose rights also should be respected. I mean, I like to see in your declaration, people have the right to present in any way they want. I mean, I'm for that as well, but that's very different from then saying because I'm presenting like this, I want all the rights that belong to another group of people, and that's the problem we have, I think. And
Yes, and they definitely want to paint us. They, you know, they want to make out that we don't think uh people should be allowed to present however they want. They want to say, oh yeah, they're really into stereotypes and femininity and stuff, which is just completely untrue.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But
Yeah.
I think,
Well,
yeah,
Kate, I think I'm going to get the others back on so we can have a little. We've got about 10 minutes left or 9 minutes left. I'm going to get the others back on, get Joni and Lierre, and then also Yal is here. So we'll be able to sort of hear from everybody who's been speaking. Just before we go back to go over to them, Kate, have you got anything else you want to say to everybody who's here?
um, I don't, I mean, the only other thing that I'm really involved in at the minute, and it's quite important for us in Scotland just now, is the whole issue of prostitution. Because Ash Regan has, who's an MSP, has a bill coming up in Parliament called the Unbuyable Bill, which is really trying to promote Nordic model within, Scotland's approach to prostitution, which I think is really, really important. But again, there's this lobby against it, quite a strong lobby. And I'm not sure if some of it is coming from the same place as the trans ideology movement. And, if anybody is in Scotland or the UK, actually, Nordic Model now have got a letter to go to the Scottish Parliament in support of Ash Regan's bill. And there's also a webinar on tomorrow afternoon about it. So just watch out for that as well, because I think that's another significant issue around women's rights and women's right to be free from oppression and from, well, I mean, prostitution, in my opinion, is the epitome of male violence against women in a patriarchal society. So please do watch out for that if you get a chance.
Yeah, that's really good. And this sounds positive because it maybe make progress. Well, let's go to Yal. Yal's here, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant. So Yal, thank you so much for staying, and thank you so much for all those voices that you shared with us. Have you got any points you want to add or questions you want to answer from during the webinar?
Thank you so much. I not saw any question, but I want to say thank you so much for solidarity with Afghan women. Please share Afghan women voices. This is their only hope, and they are sharing their voice for hope. And also, please support Afghan women with their online education, as they need for monthly internet and education. They are fighting for their basic right of education. And as a very short update, the classes for Afghan girls is very going wonderful. They are busy with learning. They started 4 new classes. And also they started new classes for a poem class, just for sharing their stress, what is their mind. They are very happy about that. And also at the end, in one of their class, they had a food booklet, Afghan food booklet. And that is everyone, if they want to see Afghan food that is that's written by Afghan student and their teacher in the class, we can email that to them. That is, we have the PDF. So that's all. Thank you so much for all, and thank you for the opportunity to be here and share Afghan woman voice. Thank you.
It's so fantastic, and it's so brilliant, Yal, that we hear from you quite often, and that there's so much development and so much positive action going on, and that we also have an opportunity that I hope you've managed to put stuff in the chat of how women can get in touch with you and support you, and support your work. But otherwise, we'll put it into the YouTube. I don't know if I've got time to be able to do it, but thank you very, very much. And everybody who can do as much support as you can for Yal and all her work. Okay, let's go to Lierre and see if you've got anything to add or any questions to answer.
Well, are there any questions for me? I don't think I've got anything else to add. Just come to our stuff. It's going to be great. And definitely do something on No Hijab Day because the women of the world need to see us out there.
Great. There's one question here from Chris. It says, does the watch party interrupt hearing what they say?
No, we don't talk over that. There's chat, like typing if you want to read that, but you don't have to. We just listen. And then when it's over, then everybody comes on the Zoom and then there's live talking with the lawyers and stuff. So you don't have to the what the lawyers and stuff are saying is not we don't interrupt that. We let that just flow. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
in the chat,
fast too. I mean, the Supreme Court things are like you get 15 minutes. You've got to make your arguments and get out. Like they're not playing around. So you don't have to listen for very long to hear the whole thing. But then you can
it's going to
linger
be
in
massively
our little
significant
watch
though,
party.
isn't it? So it's
It's going
really
to be
good.
huge. I mean, they took these
Yeah.
cases because I think they're finally ready to deal, but we've just got no idea. The problem is that the women judges are terrible. All three of them have been horrible on this issue. And it's like the more conservative male ones who are actually standing with women, and it's just so depressing. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, let's keep our
here we
fingers crossed
are.
for it. Okay, let's go to Joni. How about you, Joni? Have you got anything to add?
I don't really have anything to add if anybody has questions about summer camp, but I mean, there's just nothing like meeting in person, getting real hugs from women who, don't agree with you on everything, but agree with you on a lot of this stuff. And we try to avoid political purity at Wolf's Rag Fem Summer Camp. I think that really helps because we do all have different perspectives and we can talk about it. And there's just nothing like talking about it in person over a good meal.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that after this political purity thing, thinking after Philia, which is an amazing, fantastic thing to go to, this big women's conference that happened in Brighton and has happened in the past. It was so fantastic, and it was a shame that there was some infighting. And it's fair enough to have differences of opinion, but it's what's great is if we can be together nevertheless. I'm thinking, when the suffragettes were fighting in Britain and many other countries for the vote, there was enough momentum and we were together enough to much of the time to work together. And I guess that's what we're sort of like, to keep our eye on what we want to be doing. And that, I mean, hearing from Yal, it's so important that we support women in Afghanistan and we win the battles here in our countries so that our country governments can actually act in a bit more of a positive way. But let's go finally back to Kate, but just for a final words. I know you went to Philia and really loved it, but you say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I did really enjoy it. I see not everybody thinks Philly is really good. I see from some of the chat, but I have to say, coming together with loads of different women, I just absolutely love that. It's really empowering, I thought. I just want to thank everybody. It's been such a fascinating session. Thank you so much for inviting me along. And I'm sorry we didn't get on to talking about children's rights in your declaration as well, because I was a children's rights officer in my last years as a social worker, and it was the most amazing, that it was the best job in the world, actually, working and empowering children and young people. But I too am deeply concerned about the whole situation around trans young people and how that's being dealt with in schools. So I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to talk about that, but thank you very much. And if anybody had any questions for me, just let me know. And can I ask, are we getting a copy of the chat? Because there's some links in there I've not had a chance to look at that I would love to have, because maybe the situation of Afghan women is something we can take through the trade union movement. I know it's been already, but taking it again just to keep it on the agenda there. And I think that would be less controversial than a lot of stuff I've taken through.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the more we can do on that issue, the better. Yeah, we don't, it's not savable, the chat, for attendees because we don't have the permission to do that. But I will send it to you, and then just don't sort of use it in any public way, but just picking stuff out. So generally we don't share it just because of privacy. Right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. It's been amazing. It's a really sort of hard to be involved in this, but it's also a massive joy. You meet the best people, the best women on these webinars, and then sometimes we get to meet in every day in real life, like the summer camp that's going to happen. But there are loads of events that we all go to, or many of us go to, so it's wonderful. Thank you very much to Yal, who we can't see, but we're sort of saying thank you and thank you for everything you've been doing, to Kate, Lierre, and Joni, and everybody for coming. It's just absolutely brilliant. There are breakout sessions. We've put the link in the chat for the breakout sessions, and it's also in the Q&A, so you can click on the Q&A, and I'll email to the panelists in case you don't get a chance to get those breakout. I'll email it to you right now. Yeah, so the speakers, if you can go to the breakout sessions, that's really good. But if you can't, fair enough. Okay, we've got interesting Radfem perspectives tomorrow. So we're going to hear about the book Unveil by Yasmin Mohammed, Lierre talking about the book, and see you next week. And get in touch. If you didn't manage to get anything, email info@womensdeclaration.com and we should be able to get back to you. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Thank you so much.